Good morning, everyone. For our April the 4th meeting of the Land Use and Ethics Subcommittee, I appreciate y'all's patience with me over the last couple of days. I know we've had kind of some starts and stops about when we were going to put this on the calendar. I appreciate y'all's flexibility. We've got two Senate bills on our agenda for today, and this might end up being our last subcommittee meeting. I'm not going to say that necessarily firmly in stone because anything can happen, but it's the last planned one for right now. The first bill is we talked about actually both of these bills in our previous meeting. The first one is SB 430, which codifies the Community Health and Safety Works Grant Program and Fund. Last time we talked about this is Senator Washington. She came and testified on this bill a week or so ago. I've since spoken to her. There were some questions raised in our last subcommittee meeting about, if there's no mandatory appropriation in here, what's the administration's position on it? Are they going to actually fund it? Or are we just going to sort of pass this sort of empty bucket bill and it's just going to sit there? I did talk to Senator Washington. She gave me a little bit more context about this program. It was created under the prior governor, and it basically sort of focuses on the intersection between crime and community health and environmental justice. And it's about sort of getting funds into basically what she calls placemaking, trying to, fix up neighborhoods in a variety of ways so that they're both more vibrant and resilient, but also safer. And so, according to Senator Washington, DHCD, this is already a fund that exists within DHCD, and they do want it codified, and the administration does plan on providing funds going forward in this program. So I don't believe that we have any amendments on our side. Does anyone have any questions or concerns about this bill? Delegate Holmes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So right now it's an empty bucket bill, but they are anticipating funding it later. Is that the anticipation?
That's exactly right. This bill came in with a mandatory appropriation of, I think, 10 million. The Senate struck that mandatory appropriation, so there's no fiscal note on this. But I have heard that the governor and the administration and DHCD like this program, and there is an expectation that they will fund it, and they requested for it to be codified. Delegate Davis.
Move favorable. I have to apologize to Senator Washington because last time I kind of I didn't ask her about the bill and I should have. So move favorable.
You never have to apologize for asking questions in subcommittee. That's what we're here for. But okay, there is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so there has been a motion and it's been properly seconded. Delegate Foley.
Yeah, thanks. I'm in favor of the bill, but I just have a question for my information. Was there a cross file on this bill?
Good question. There is a cross file. What happened to that? What happened to that, Ben?
So there's no House.
Oh, that's right. There was not for this one. That's right. Yeah, there wasn't. That's what happened. There was just she didn't get a cross file. And I asked her about that, and she said that it kind of came together a little bit later in December or whatever, and she didn't have time to get a cross file. Okay, so it's been moved and it's been properly seconded. Seeing no further hands or discussion, all those in favor of SB 430, raise your hand or signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that bill will receive a favorable recommendation from the subcommittee. We got one more bill. It's SB 659, the Prince George's Gateway Development Authority. There was also not a cross file for this one. And Ben, I think, reached out to the sponsor's office, and basically they said that the plan was to have a House sponsor, but there were time constraints. So they just put it in without a cross file here. But so this would establish the Prince George's Gateway Development Authority. If I remember correctly, Senator Augustine testified on this bill, I think, just a couple of days ago in the committee. And as you can see, I mean, we can scroll through. If Darren, you want to scroll down and show everyone, it's a fairly straightforward bill. And it passed unanimously in the Senate. And basically, it requires the Development Authority to just make some modifications to this existing authority that I think we passed out a couple of years ago. So basically, it requires them to meet at least 4 times a year. It requires staff to provide from the Prince George's County Redevelopment Authority to provide support and staff help for the authority in consultation with DHCD. My understanding is that this is basically just a little bit of a cleanup bill to a bill we had a couple of years ago, just to make sure this redevelopment authority is meeting regularly and is functioning properly. Delegate Foley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Two questions. One, is the delegation good with this bill?
Yeah, we do have a letter from the delegation.
Oh, we do. Okay. And
Yeah.
that my second question is this a local bill because it's not put in by the delegation, but is it?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it's not technically a local bill because technically this is a redevelopment authority that just sort of exists statutorily in state law. And so while it's obviously very local in nature, it's not technically a local bill.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Ben, is that right?
That's right, Mr. Chair, and
Okay.
the letter was unanimous from.
Yeah,
Prince.
unanimous letter from the Prince Rose delegation.
Move favorable, Mr. Chair.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and properly seconded. Any final discussion before we vote? Seeing none, all those in favor of SB 659, raise your hand or signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that bill will also receive a favorable recommendation from the subcommittee, and that concludes the work for the day. I'll just say, in case this is our final meeting, I really appreciate y'all. It's been a great year for the subcommittee. We had a lot of work on our hands, especially with the governor's zoning bill, and all of you stepped up and provided a lot of collaboration and help for us, and I really appreciate that. I also want to give a shout out to all three council, because this is the only subcommittee that has all three council helping, Patrick, Kristen, and of course, last but not least, Ben, who is fortunately here today with us, and that's appropriate because he has put in a ton of work for this subcommittee.
Bravo.
And I know Chairman Holmes is subcommittee as well, but he has really taken the laboring oar this session for us, especially with the governor's zoning bill. So really appreciate him as well. Delegate Long.
Great job to you, Mr. Chair, for leading and shepherding all of these important agenda items through. Could not have done it without you.
Well done.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And of course, Barry, I just want to give you a shout out specifically for all your great work. With that, I do not think that we're going to meet again, but it's possible. Anything's possible in the last few days of session. So just stay tuned for any late breaking announcements. But I think that's it. And again, really appreciate